Here's a chart that may surprise you. If there's a central theme of this chart, it's that Python beats naive C for speed, but real C beats everything. And by real C, I mean C that's not written naively, but leverages highly optimized libraries that make use of every advantage your computer has. I implemented matrix multiplication of large grids of numbers using several different technologies and languages. All of these programs are multiplying square grids of numbers of size 1024 by 1024. Before I explain why this is even an important task, because it is an important task, let's just take a look at the figures here. Then we'll get into talking about the technologies that make it possible to speed this task up dramatically. On each bar here you can see two figures, the time the calculation took and how much a final checksum computed by adding all the values in the result differs from the checksum computed from a 64-bit NumPy script as a percentage. You can see there are small differences. Most of these programs are doing 32-bit floating point arithmetic, but the checksum differences are all very small, too small to matter most of the time. Let's take a look at the timings. I have to preface this by pointing out that these are timings for my specific machine, which is a Mac M4, and results may vary on different hardware. The really tall bar here is simply a Python script written in ordinary Python with no special libraries. It took 71 seconds to complete the task. It's so slow you might as well not even bother. This is the only one of these programs that's actually using 64-bit floating point types. The rest are all 32-bit, but that doesn't account for the slowness. Python in itself is just very slow. Surprisingly perhaps, the second highest bar represents a naively written C program. It took 0.8 seconds, but the fastest time was also a C program. By making use of technology built into my machine exactly for this kind of task, the execution time was a mere 0.001 seconds. Another surprising fact is that naively written Java was actually faster than the naively written C. I'm not sure why this is. It may just be an artifact of the way I happen to write these programs. But you can see that out of the box, Java gives C a run for its money. The just-in-time compiler turns the CPU-intensive parts of my code into optimized machine code, which executes very fast. A few years ago, I created a course on programming an artificial neural network from scratch in Java, and the slightly taller bar here is using the matrix class from that course. My point wasn't to create a very fast neural network, but to explain in detail every aspect of how simple neural networks, capable of classifying handwritten digits, actually work. So my code was written more for understandability than for speed. Then we have three bars representing various kinds of Python script. The most common way to multiply matrices in Python is via a library called NumPy, and you can see that NumPy does pretty well, finishing in 0.006 seconds. TensorFlow and PyTorch, both of which have functions written very specifically to speed up this kind of task, are even faster. The fastest was PyTorch at 0.004 seconds if we round up. Of course, under the hood, all of these libraries, NumPy, TensorFlow and PyTorch, are all written in C and C++. Python is only being used as a glue to hold them together, but C itself can directly leverage whatever technology your computer has to facilitate ultra-fast matrix multiplication without any Python glue slowing it down. So it's not surprising that the fastest of all of these was a C program, which I've written to take advantage of a technology called BLAS. There are two main reasons why fast matrix multiplication is so important. One is that matrices can represent geometrical transforms, so they're used extensively in computer games and graphics cards were created with fast GPUs exactly for that reason. But there's another use of matrix multiplication that today is even more important than the enormous games industry, and that's artificial intelligence. At the heart of LLMs, large language models, and other forms of AI are artificial neural networks. Conceptually, these involve layers of artificial neurons where the output from one layer, a series of floating point numbers, has to multiply all of the inputs in all of the neurons in the next layer. That's exactly matrix multiplication, and AI is now a driving factor in the development of ever faster systems for doing matrix multiplication. Every transformer block in an LLM does dozens of matrix multiplications. How exactly do you multiply two grids of numbers together? Here are a couple of tables. I'm going to use a farming analogy because that's the simplest analogy I could come up with, although I'm not pretending to know anything about farming. We have two barns, and each barn contains a mixture of goats and horses. These animals are fed using bags of grass and hay, and each type of animal needs a certain number of bags of each foodstuff every day. You can fill in the table of results just using common sense. If you work out the result here, the operation you're doing is exactly matrix multiplication. A matrix is a 2D grid of numbers, but we can also create higher dimensional grids. In that case, we talk about tensor multiplication. A matrix is a tensor of order 2 because it has 2 dimensions. However, the kind of tensor multiplication used in AI really always boils down to a series of matrix multiplications. Tensors are just used as a convenient way to deal with arrays of matrices. One thing you can do to speed up your code a bit is to make use of cache-friendly memory layouts in your code. If you write code that jumps about a lot in memory, that's going to execute slower than code that reads contiguous blocks of memory, because when you read contiguous blocks, those can get cached by your CPU, and then operations on them are significantly faster. But that only takes you so far. So what technologies exist for doing fast matrix multiplication, and why is my fast C program so very much faster than a naively written Java or Python program, or even a naively written C program? The difference between naive C and optimized C isn't just better code. It's entire ecosystems of highly engineered technologies built over decades. When you multiply two 1024 by 1024 matrices, you're doing over 1 billion floating point operations. No amount of clever Python or Java looping is going to make that fast. What does make it fast are specialized libraries and hardware designed specifically for this kind of work. Let's take a look at the main ones. BLAS stands for Basic Linear Algebra Subprograms. It's a standard API that defines how to perform operations like vector addition, dot products, and matrix multiplication. But BLAS itself isn't a single library. It's a specification, and different vendors implement it in different ways. Take a look at my fast C program. It's using Apple Accelerate, which is Apple's implementation of the BLAS standard. However, it would also run on Windows or Linux with very minimal changes, because both have their own implementations of BLAS, for example, OpenBLAS and Intel MKL. Python libraries like NumPy, TensorFlow and PyTorch all use BLAS, so your Python code that uses these libraries can end up almost as fast as native C. BLAS implementations are written in highly optimized C, C++ and Fortran, and they use every trick modern CPUs have, the most important of these being SIMD. SIMD stands for Single Instruction, Multiple Data. SIMD enables you to multiply 8 or even 16 numbers at once by 8 or 16 other numbers in a single instruction. It does this by using 256-bit registers in the case of the AVX2 instruction set, or 512-bit registers for the AVX512 instruction set. The process of turning multiple instructions like this into single instructions like this is known as vectorisation. Compilers can perform auto-vectorisation under appropriate circumstances involving contiguous memory blocks, and BLAS APIs do it manually. Another way tensor calculations can be massively sped up is by simply performing them on your graphics card instead of your CPU. Since graphics cards perform matrix operations to achieve geometrical transforms, they can also perform them on behalf of AI code. For NVIDIA graphics cards, the CUDA platform is designed to do exactly that, enabling you to make use of GPUs from your C code and by extension your Python scripts using libraries written in C and C++. On my Mac I can't use CUDA because it doesn't have an NVIDIA graphics card, but I do have Apple MPS, Metal Performance Shaders, which allows me to do the same thing. That's a little more complex than using BLAS in a C program, but PyTorch uses it out of the box. In fact, PyTorch on macOS uses MPS Graph, Apple's optimised machine learning graph engine. MPS Graph builds fused GPU kernels using MPS, applies graph-level optimizations, and manages GPU memory intelligently. The result is dramatically faster execution than raw MPS or BLAS. However, I can't use MPS Graph from a C script, or not easily. Apple makes me use Objective-C. This means that on my system, very large batched matrix operations are going to run faster using PyTorch than with any kind of C program I could write. I would prefer it if Apple prioritized C more rather than their Objective-C, but MPS Graph is a great technology, leaving aside that quibble. If you are really serious about running your own AI programs, of course you could buy GPUs and program them in C. Probably no one's trying to run really serious LLMs on MacBooks after all. So in the end, while Python beats naive C, thoughtfully written C still beats Python. There are some caveats because even LLMs are actually written in Python, relying on those optimized C, C++, and Fortran libraries under the hood. Python as a glue language is just very convenient and quick to write. But if you really want the fastest, most efficient programs possible, you still need C. And on that note, if you want to learn C, I have a course that may interest you. It takes you from hello world to understanding pointers, macros, memory management, and everything you need to write serious C programs. At the end of the course, we build a pixel fire simulation program step by step, leveraging knowledge of pointers and memory to manipulate individual pixels. I also have a course on Python and machine learning. If you want to learn Python and discover how to visualize data and build machine learning models, including neural networks. The link for both of these courses are in the description. Check it out.